The Plum in the Golden Vase Chongzhen version of the Embroidered Portrait Chapter 42, displaying fireworks in front of the luxurious door and admiring the drunken lanterns upstairs. During the Lantern Festival, the poem says, "The stars and moon are in the sky and thousands of candles are burning. And there are 2 lantern festivals in the world and in the sky. I prefer the sound of music and spring music. And the horses are also charming when people dance in clothes. Yi Lao Shao has no time to spend his time. And the fairest man has gray hair and will not forgive him. If you get 1,000 pieces of gold, you need to carve it. And you order Kiao to knock it more carefully." By the way, Simon King sent the Kiao family and came up to the room to discuss with Yunyang, Da Jinzi, and Li Pinger. Yunyang said, "Since his family came first to celebrate the festival with our children, we must also buy gifts to celebrate the festival with his eldest sister. It is just a matter of power. And there is no difference in etiquette." The eldest concubine said, It is necessary to set up a matchmaker here, to make it easier to come and go." Yunyang said, "His family is Mrs. Kong. Who should we install?" Simon King said, "If you don't bother the 2 masters, just install it. Come on, Lao Feng." So, he quickly wrote 8 invitations, and called Lao Feng to come and pick up the invitation box with Dian. On the 15th, he invited Mrs. Kiao's mother-in-law, Mrs. Kiao Wu, and the emperor's wife, Zhu Zubin, my wife, Kui's mother-in-law, Sister Duen, and Sister Zheng came to the banquet to celebrate Li Pinger's birthday and eat lantern wine. On the one hand, he told Lai Xing'er to use money to order steamed pastries and soup fruits. There are 2 more sets of brocade grosgrain clothes, a scarlet robe, a gold silk crepe crown, 2 Yunnan horn bead lamps, a box of jade clothes, a pair of small gold bracelets, and for gold and gemstone rings. On the morning of the 14th, I packed the box load and asked my son-in-law Chen Jingji and Bai Si to wear blue clothes, and escort them there. Over at Kiao Dahu's side, they were in charge of banquets and congratulations. When I returned to the box, I returned many shoes and shoes for life. No need to go into details. In the midst of the chaos, Count Ying came to talk about the money affairs of Li Zi and Wang Siguan. He saw it and asked why. Simon King told Kiao Dahu about his marriage. On the 15th, "Please come and sit with me." The Earl said, "My sister-in-law calls, and I will definitely come." Simon King said, "Today I invite all the ladies of the court to eat. Let's go to the house on Lion Street to look at the lights." The Count agreed and went without mentioning it. Let's say that on that day, Wu Yin'er from the courtyard first sent for boxes of gifts, 2 gold sweat scarves, and a pair of women's shoes to Li Pinger to celebrate his birthday and worship him as his daughter. Yunyang received the gift and sent the sedan back. Sister Li Gui didn't come until the next day. When she saw Wu Yin'er here, she quietly asked Yunyang, "Did he ask us to come?" Yunyang told him like this, "I sent you a gift yesterday. I will recognize you as Liu Niang, my daughter." Sister Li Gui was speechless after hearing this. One day, he only had a temper with Wu Yin'er, and the 2 of them didn't talk. But he said that there were 20 boys from Wang Wang's family in the front hall, led by 2 masters, who picked up boxes and kowtowed to Simon King first. Simon King ordered the West Wing to be used as a theater room to take care of food and drinks. After a while, Mrs. Zhou Xiaobai, Mrs. Zhang, the mother of Jingdu Prison, and Mrs. Zhang Tuanlian all arrived first. All were in large sedan chairs, and the platoon troops shouted, followed by family members and wives. Yunyang and all the sisters, all wearing robes, came out to greet them and went to the back hall to perform the ceremony. After meeting all the relatives, he sat down to serve tea and waited for Lady Jia Tixing to arrive before serving tea. Unexpectedly, when it was noon, it still didn't come. The boy invited him 2 or 3 times, and after about noon he came with a drink, carrying the clothes box, followed by his family, his wife, and many servants supporting him. The drummer entered the back hall, met all the guests, and sat down in order. First serve tea in the rolling shed, and then sit in the hall. Spring plum blossoms, jade flutes, yingchen and orchids are all neatly dressed, and tea and wine are served at the banquet. That day I was playing the Romance of the West Chamber, not to mention that in the depths of the painting hall, surrounded by pearls and greenery, there is singing, dancing, playing and drinking. Shanbiao Simon King sent the guests to have tea, then rode on horseback to make an appointment with Earl Ying and Zida, and went to the Lion Street house, order for fireworks and take one over there. In the evening, 2 of them were placed in front of the guests. Zhuan called a cook and brought 2 food boxes with food and vegetables and 2 jars of Jinhua wine. 2 more singers were called Dong Jiar and Han Yuchuaner. It turned out that Simon King had sent Dian to hire a sedan and asked Wang Liuer to go with him to the Lion Street house. Dan saw the woman and said, "Dad, I asked you to invite Aunt Han to watch the fireworks there in the evening." The woman smiled and said, "I'm so shy. How can I go easily? Do you, Uncle Han, know if you're not angry?" Dan said, "Dad, I told Uncle Han to hurry up and take care of himself." Because he called 2 singers, no one was with him. After hearing this, the woman didn't move. Once, Han Daoguo came home. Diane said, "This is not Uncle Han coming. Aunt Han is here. Don't believe me." The woman said to the man, "You really want me to go?" Han Daoguo said, "Dad said again and again, 2 singers there is no one to accompany him. Please go over and watch the fireworks. Why don't you clear up the shop? Just now, I told you to close the shop and sit down together in Wangxi. It's time for him to stay overnight." The woman said, "I don't know how long we'll be leaving. Just come back and sit down. There's no one at home, so you shouldn't stay overnight." After that, she got dressed and went to Dan. "Follow me and come to the Lion Street house." Lei Zhao's wife, Yi Zhangqing, had gone to the room early in the morning to tidy up the bed, curtains, and mattresses, and lay down the fragrance of agarwood. A pair of gauze lanterns hung in the room, holding a pot of charcoal fire. The woman went inside and sat down on the kang. Yi Zhangqing came out, said one blessing, and took tea to eat. Simon King and Earl Ying looked back at the lights before arriving at the house. The 2 are playing shuanglu upstairs. In addition to the 6 windows upstairs, there are curtains, and below is the lantern market, which is very lively. After returning to shuanglu, the 2 of them watched the lantern market from behind the curtain. But see, thousands of people and beautiful scenery surround the well, and the cars and BMWs are noisy like thunder. A ocean mountain rises above the blue clouds. Where can tourists not look at it? The 2 of them looked at each other for a while. Simon King suddenly saw Zida and Zhu Xinian in the crowd. The same man wearing a square scarf was looking at the lamp under the lampshade and pointed at the Earl. He asked the man wearing the scarf, "Do you recognize him?" The Earl said, "This man looks familiar, but I don't recognize him." Simon King called Diane, "Go downstairs and quietly invite Father Zhu Zhaozhu Mazi," and the man saw it. Diane Boy walked downstairs and got into the crowd. When Zhu Xinian and the man passed by first, he came out from the side and pulled Zishi bundle. Panicked, Zida turned around to look, but it was Dan. Dan said, "Dad and Yinger's father are upstairs here. Please thank Dad for speaking." Shi Dao said, "Go, I understand. I will come to see your father when I accompany them to the plum blossom place," Diane said, and then smoked away. When Zida arrived at the place where the plum blossoms were sticky, she made trouble with others, so she turned aside and left Zhu Xinian and the other person to just look around. He then came upstairs and saw Simon King and Count Ying bowing to each other. He said, "Brother, I came here to look at the lights. Why didn't you call me brother in the morning?" "Yes, I have asked Brother Ying to invite you to your house. Didn't you Mazi see him just now?" Yin asked. "Who is wearing the scarf?" Wang Sangwan, the son of Wang Zhaoshuan, came to my house with Zhu Mazi today to ask for a loan of 300 taels from Mr. Zhu Baiyu. He asked me, Lao-san, and Zhu Mazi to be my guarantors for my future career and to study in martial arts. I'm not responsible for his idle business. I was walking with him in the lantern market just now, and when I heard my brother calling me, I only accompanied him to the plum blossom place. And then I walked away to see my brother. "Earl, how long have you been here?" Earl said, "Brother asked me to come to your house first. When you were not here, I came here to fight Shuangwu with my brother here." Simon King asked, Have you eaten yet?" After a while, there was a spring plate of side dishes, 2 bowls of rice noodles, a bowl of Hochuan meat powder soup, and 2 bowls of white rice. Zida was alone. She ate clean inside and out, with some soup left, and she soaked it in a bowl and ate it. Diane took over the household chores. Saida watched from the sidelines. As the two played Shuanglu, I saw two singers getting off the sedan, and the sedan bearer carrying clothes and bags came in with a smile. The Earl saw him in the window and said, "We're just here for these two little whores." He told Diane, "Don't teach him to go back, but ask him to come upstairs to see me first." Shi Daodao said, "Today I'm calling you. Who are those two?" Diane said, "It's Dong Zhaoer and Han Yuchuaner." He hurriedly went downstairs and said, "Yinger Dad asked you to speak." The two of them were willing to come and walked back. Seeing Yi Zhangking, I bowed to him and led him into the room. I saw Wang Liuer wearing a heartwarming bun on his head, a purple silk coat, a black coat, and a white silk skirt with two golden lotuses exposed underneath, and a long flowing mustache, purple chest color, not very powdered, dressed like a middle-aged man, with lilac in his ears. When I entered the door, I just looked at him and bowed, and then sat down by the king. Xiao Chizeng brought tea, and Wang Liuer ate with him. The two singers looked up and down only at him. Once they look at each other, the two of them laugh once, and they don't even know who they are. After falling behind, Diane came in, and the two men asked him quietly, "Who is that person in the room?" Diane did not answer, only said, "My father's aunt came to see the lights." The two listened. Shin came to the room and said, "I don't know if I'm an aunt in each of my heads. Don't be surprised if I don't see this courtesy." Then he put a candle and kowtowed on both heads. The panicked Wang Liuer quickly returned the half salute. "If you fall behind, put some soup and rice on the table and eat with you." The two took musical instruments and sang to Wang Liuer. The count hit Shuanglu and went downstairs to relieve himself. When he heard someone singing behind him, he called Dan and asked, "Tell me, who are the two singers singing behind?" Dan just laughed. Without saying a word, he said, "Your old man, Keojo Bing Bai, is very lenient in taking care of things. Who cares if he sings or not?" The Earl said, "What a thief and little glib. If you don't tell me, are you worried that I won't know?" Diane said with a smile, "You old man just knows. Why are you asking?" After saying that, he walked back. When the count came upstairs, Simon King and Zishi fought again. Li Ming and Wu Hua suddenly came upstairs to kowtow. The Earl said, "Okay, you two came just in time. How did you know that I am always here?" Li Ming knelt down and said, "The younger one and Wu Hui came to the house first. The house said that Dad was serving wine here. Come here specially. Wait for me." Simon King said, "That's fine. Get up and wait. Diane, go to the opposite door and invite Uncle Han." After a while, Han Daoguo arrived, bowed and sat down. On one side, the table was set, with a spring plate of wine and a piano boy sifting the wine next to it. The Earl and Zaida were on top. Simon King was in charge, and Han Daoguo was on the sidelines. They sat down to sift the wine, and asked Diane to invite the singers from behind. After a while, Han Yuchuaner and Dong Zhaoer came upstairs slowly and politely. He kowtows his head inappropriately. The Earl scolded, "I wonder who is coming. It turns out they are these two little whores." I screamed in my head, "Why don't you come to see me first? How bold. Tomorrow, if I don't do you a favor, you will also don't be afraid." Dong Zhaoer said with a smile, "Brother, if you make a fool of yourself across the wall, you won't scare me to death." Han Yuchuaner said, "You know, Ainur grabbed the beast head city and went inside. What a good guy. What an ugly boy." The Earl said, "Brother, you are too redundant today. You only have Li Ming and Wu Hui here to sing. So why don't you send them away as soon as possible? It's late at night and I have to save some money. When I get home late, no one wants me anymore." Han Yuchuaner said, "Brother, why aren't you ashamed? Every time my dad asks me to come, I agree, but I don't wait for you. Why are you so angry?" The Earl said, "Silly boy, if you don't serve me here, who will you serve?" Han Yuchuan said, "Fat Tang fell into the vinegar vat and made you sore." The Earl said, "You little slut, you've made me angry. I'll talk to you when I go home. I have two ideas, and you can do it." Dong Zhao, the son, asked, "Brother, what are those two methods? Let me hear it." The Earl said, "The first thing I told the patrolman was to use it to keep you awake at night. Tell him to take it and give you a good beating. It's a pity. You only need 3 cents of silver to make wine and get the sedan bearer drunk. Let me go with you." "A little whore. I don't have any money when I get home." Han Yuchuan said, "It's very late. If I don't go, I'll sleep in Dad's house. If you don't, ask Dad to send someone to send me. It's not up to you to pay me 100 cents. I'm a slave. Now that the schedule has been reversed, I will take 3 measures." He joked, while 2 singers sang the words of spring scenery. Everyone picked up the soup and rice to eat when they saw Diana coming and reported, "Dad Chu is here." No one said anything. After a while, Zhu Xinian came upstairs and saw the Earl and Zida above, and said, "You two are delicious. You can become a person." Because he said, "Zizichen, I invite you here, and you also say something to me. Son, you came without knowing it and asked me to just look for you at the sticky plum blossom place." Shi Dadao said, "I also made a mistake, and I saw my brother and brother Ying walking up to me to bow to each other." "Stay," Simon Kingyan told Diana, "Brother Zhu and I will sit down below." He then placed the bills and chopsticks and sat down at the table. The kitchen brought soup and rice, and we all ate together. Simon King only ate 1 bun and took a sip of soup. Seeing Li Ming nearby, he handed it to Li Ming to eat. Earl Nang, Zida, Zhu Xinian, and Han Daoguo each ate a large bowl of 8 treasure soup, 3 large steamed buns, and 4 peach blossom xiaomai, leaving only 1 steamed bun on the plate. Put away the soup bowls left and right. Pour the wine and drink. Shi Dayan asked Zhu Xinian, "Where did you accompany him to open it? How did you know I was here?" Zhu Xinian told him like this, "Because I looked for you and couldn't find you. I went with the king." The 3 officials met at Lao Sun's house, and went to Mr. Zhu Baiyu to borrow 300 taels of silver. But Sun Dezui and Lao Zuozui failed to write the loan agreement. Yu and Lao Sun acted as guarantees to get the first guarantee, because he asked, "Why is the writing so bad?" Zhu Shi said, "I will tell him to write more smoothly and wait for 3 days before returning it." He didn't listen to me and taught me to change the document again. Shi Dao asked, "What are the 3 limits you established?" Zhu Shi thought, "In the first limit, the wind blows the reel and kills the geese. In the second limit, the fish in the water." He jumped ashore. The rocks in the water were soaked to pieces in the 3rd period. Hand it back to him. Well, if there is a drought and the water is shallow, the court cuts the 2 or 3 hoe heads that worked on the stone to pieces. What will happen? Then the money will be paid back to him. Everyone joked for a while. Looking at the night, Simon King ordered the lamps to be lit upstairs, and there was a Yanjioling lantern in front of the eaves of the building, which was very ingenious. At home, Yunyang sent chessboy and pageant to bring 4 boxes, all of which were delicious candies and delicate fruits. Simon King called the chessboy and asked, "Have the ladies at home dispersed yet? Who asked you to send them here?" The chessboy said, "The eldest lady sent the younger ones here to have a drink with Dad. The grandmothers have not dispersed yet." The play was over, and the lady stayed at the gate to have a drink and watch the fireworks. Simon King asked, "Is anyone watching?" The chessboy said, "The crowd was crowding round to watch." Simon King said, "I ordered for platoon troops in green clothes to be left behind to guard the crowd with railings, so that the rest of the crowd could be crowded." The chessboy said, "The younger one and Pinganer were in the same platoon to watch the fireworks, but there was no idle crowd. People are disturbing you." After hearing this, Simon King ordered all the food and drinks to be removed from the table, put the food boxes on them, and brought another yuan shao with fruit fillings from the kitchen. 2 singers were passing drinks in front of the banquet. Simon King told the chessboy to go home and take a look. While sifting the fine wine, setting up treasures, Li Ming and Wu Hui were asked to play and sing a set of lantern lyrics in front of the banquet. After singing and eating Lantern Festival, Han Daoguo went home first. After a while, Simon King ordered Lai Zhao to open 2 rooms downstairs, hang up the curtains, and carry out the fireworks racks. Simon King and everyone were watching upstairs, while Zhao Wangli were, 2 fans, and Yi Jiangqing were watching downstairs. Dian and Lei Zhao placed fireworks in the middle of the street. For a moment, lighted. There were countless people watching on both sides, rubbing shoulders with each other. It is said that the Simon Palace is setting off fireworks here. Who doesn't come to watch? Sure enough, it was a good fireworks display. But see, there are flower piles 1.5 feet high, and the mountain tents are bustling all around. There is a crane at the highest point, holding an alchemy book in its mouth. It is a fire, and a cold light shines straight through the side of the bullfight. Then, just as a watermelon cannon exploded from the center, people all around were struck, and thousands of thunderbolts were set on fire. The colorful lotus boats compete with the bright moon, one after another, like golden lanterns scattering the stars in the sky. Thousands of purple grapes, likely beads hanging upside down on the crystal curtain. The powerful jade whip is loud everywhere. The ground rats are stringing round people's clothes. The beautiful jade platform with a beautiful lamp rotates beautifully. The silver moth and golden bullet are so clever that it is hard to move. The 8 immortals hold longevity, and their names reveal the power of the tongue. The 7 saints subjugate demons, and their whole bodies are filled with fire. Yellow smoke, green smoke, dense clouds cover thousands of clouds. The lotuses bloom tightly. The lotus blooms slowly, and the 10 brocades bloom brilliantly. 1-foot-long chrysanthemums and smoked orchids face each other, and pear blossoms fall to the ground and peaches compete for spring. The towers, palaces and pavilions suddenly lost their majestic power. The village drums seemed to be hard to hear the sound of joy. The salesman's load was blazing brightly from top to bottom. Bao Lao's cart was shattered from head to tail. The 5 ghosts are making trouble, and they are so anxious and ferocious. They are ambushed from all sides, and there is no way to win or lose. After all the effort, the fire was extinguished and the smoke was reduced to smoldering embers. When Count Ying saw that Simon King had a drink, he came downstairs just after watching the fireworks. Seeing Wang Lier here, he pushed Xiao Jing's hand, took Zida and Xu Xinian, and left without saying goodbye to Simon King. Dan then asked, "Where are you going, second father?" The Earl said in his ear, "Silly boy, if I don't get up from the account I'm talking about, others will just sit there and it will look boring." "Wait," your father asked. "You just said that I ran away." After falling behind, Simon King saw the fireworks and asked where the count was. Diane said, "Yinger dad and Z dad have gone all the way. I can't stop him. Please tell me more." Simon King stopped asking, because he called Li Ming and Wu Huilai. Each of them gave him a huge glass of wine to eat with him. He ordered, "I won't make money with you. You just should come early on the 16th and agree. It's better that the second father and 3 of them will be in charge of the house, together with the other assistants, and we will have wine at the door in the evening." Li Ming knelt down and said, "Little I told my father." On the 16th, Wu Hui, Suo Shen, and Zhang Fang all went to Dongping Mansion to take up their posts at the newly promoted Lord Hu. They only came back in the afternoon. Simon King said, "I only drink wine every night. Just don't miss it." The 2 said, "I don't dare to miss it." The 2 singers came to say goodbye and went out. Simon King said, "Tomorrow, the guests at home will serve wine. Sisters Li Gui and Wu Yin are both here. You just should come and have a walk." The 2 agreed and went out together without any problems. Simon King ordered Lai Zhao, Dian, and Qin Tong to take over the household chores. After extinguishing the lights, he went to the back room. Let's talk about Lai Zhao's son, Xiao Jiegonger, who was watching the fireworks outside. When he saw Simon King entering, he came upstairs. When he saw that his father had collected a plate of mixed meat and vegetables, a bottle of wine and some Yuang Shao, and brought them into the house, he asked his mother for permission, and was beaten twice by her mother. Unexpectedly, he was walking and playing in the yard at the back. He only heard laughter and singing in the house in front. He hadn't left yet. He saw that the door was closed, so he peeked through the crack in the door and saw that there were lights and candles in the room. It turned out that Simon King and Wang Lier were having sex on the edge of the bed. Simon King was already drunk, so he pushed his wife upside down on the edge of the bed, took off her little clothes, and then used the support to fuck the flowers in the back garden. He was beaten back and forth hundreds of times as he advanced and retreated, and the sound of the blows was loud and loud. His breathing and movement were like folding a bed, and could be heard everywhere. The child was looking there, but his mother, Yi Jianqing, came up and saw him. He dragged him forward by the corner of his head, cut to chestnuts, and cursed, "You are the source of trouble, little servant. You are still young." He was killed again, so he gave him a few Yuang Shao to eat, but didn't let him out, so he forced him to sleep on the king. Simon King and his wife worked hard until they had to meals. Dan served him the wine and food that carried the sedan chair, and then followed him to his home. Then he and the piano boys went to Simon King's house by lighting the lamp. Exactly. Don't worry about the bright moon disappearing. There will be night pearls coming.
Alright, this part of the story ends here.
Want to know what happened next? Let's listen to the breakdown next time.